Hi everyone, we are live. Welcome to our AIM Parenting live stream. We're so glad you're here. And if you're looking for ways to support your child's growth and confidence, you're definitely in the right place. So today we're diving into a bit of a game changer, how the way we communicate can help nurture a growth mindset in our children. So you may well have heard of the words praise and encouragement used interchangeably, but they're actually very different. While encouragement builds resilience and motivation, praise can actually do the opposite. Curious? Stick around because we're breaking it all down for you today.
So let's be honest, how many times have you caught yourself saying, good job? Almost like a reflex. So it's like your child shows you a piece of artwork and you're like, good job, that's amazing. And it's like the universal parenting soundtrack. And remember, like whenever we say parenting, just think any adult who is part of a child's life. Okay, so you can be a teacher, and I know that we teachers, we use this so often. But here's the thing, what if we told you that not all praise is created equal, and that some of it can actually backfire, and we'll show you why, and you can see that, you may relate to it. So let's say that there's a better way to praise your child, a way that actually builds confidence instead of making kids dependent on our approval. And I'm sure you have heard the expression approval junkies, right?
Yeah, it's such an interesting one. So how can we still be our child's cheerleader without resorting to praise? Okay, there's a spoiler alert here. It's not about never praising them. It's about praising smarter. We often talk about in positive discipline, praise being like the candy. So perfect in small doses, but encouragement is like the vegetables. So you just can't get enough encouragement. You can't get enough vegetables. They're the staple in your diet. So today
Mother,
we're
you're
talking
speaking to
about,
a vegan here, right? Of
yeah,
course,
okay.
we're all about vegetables.
Yeah, I think we should
We
all be
are all
about
about
vegetables,
vegetables.
actually. I know myself, I don't take enough vegetables in, but anyway, this is inspiring. So today we're talking about how to praise in a way that actually helps kids grow, just like those vegetables. And that brings us to something you might have heard of, growth mindset.
Now, if we stop right there, I mean, like so many people, they have probably heard, like the expression growth mindset. But the thing is, the idea of the growth mindset comes from psychologist Carol Dweck, and she is the author of this book here called Mindset. And she is a professor at Stanford and also a researcher. And it's such a powerful way to help kids and adults approach learning and challenges in a positive way. So at its core, a growth mindset is the belief that abilities aren't set in stone. It's not like you were born talented, you build those skills. So instead, they can be developed with effort, practice, and persistence. And again, I love persistence. It's like so many times you may have heard so many stories that, hey, it's the power of showing up, isn't it? So the thing is, this teaches kids that struggles and mistakes, they are not signs of failure, and that they're actually part of the learning process. Again, just circling back to the whole Montessori philosophy and educational approach, we know that mistakes, they are part of it, and we learn so much from them. And as adults, especially, I mean, and again, like in positive discipline, we always say that mistakes are an opportunity to learn. So it's best if we just embrace it, right? Well, but on the other hand, so on one side, we have a growth mindset, and on the other one, we have a fixed mindset. And that is a belief that you're either good at something or you're not. And then if you fail, it means you'll never be able to do it. But with a growth mindset, we help our kids see that while they can't always control the outcome, they can control how much they improve by putting in the effort. And that in itself, it's such a game changer for building resilience, confidence, and frustration tolerance.
So interesting, isn't it? I mean, Carol Dweck studied how kids respond to different types of praise. And it turns out from her research that when we praise kids for being smart, like, wow, you're so good at maths, it actually makes them less motivated to try harder things. They then start focusing on proving they're smart instead of actually learning. And when things get hard, they think, oh no, if I fail, it means I'm not smart. So this has great consequences because they end up playing it safe instead of challenging themselves. But kids who are praised for effort, like, wow, you really stuck with that tricky puzzle, actually become more persistent. They, on the other hand, see challenges as something they can work through, not as proof they're not good enough. So the key is shifting from you're so smart to you worked so hard on that. And then because kids learn that success isn't about being naturally good at something, they learn it's about practice, effort, and trying different strategies, which is so cool.
Okay, so just pause right there. So we're talking about practice, effort, and trying different strategies. Isn't it funny how, Amanda, how this is exactly what we do in our parenting courses? It's all about
Exactly.
practicing the skills. It's all about making efforts to create changes. And it's all
Yeah,
about trying different strategies. No wonder Positive Discipline has 52 different tools in their toolbox,
exactly.
right? Because
So in
it's
other words,
always yeah.
no, I was just going to say, by actually kind of taking a course like Positive Discipline, you're actually growing your own growth mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
Because
So
I
one
think,
thing that I
go for it,
go ahead.
Lucy. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so like whenever I'm, like in especially like in my business, when I'm doing like my one-to-one, like mentoring and I'm working with families or like individuals, I always tell them that the number one thing that they must have for us to be able to work together is a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Because if they're not willing to learn something new, if they're not willing to make
Mm.
changes, how's anything going to happen, right? So if you want to create changes,
Interestingly, yeah.
you have to change something as well.
Interestingly, one of the key attributes of companies that are looking to hire new recruits at the moment that they're looking for is someone that is coachable. And I think
Yeah,
that's exactly what you're saying, Lucy. You need someone that is exactly willing to try new things, that is actually going to take on new information and then actionize on that. So I think that ability to be coachable is something that, like, by changing the way we communicate with our kids, we can actually instill in them and set them
yeah,
up for
yeah.
success.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that let's be very honest here. It's like I think that this is such a struggle. And I mean, we see this like with all the parenting coaches. It's finding the parents who are willing to work with them. Right. And I think that
Absolutely.
it's not the case that they are not coachable. It's not the case that they don't have a growth mindset. But I think it's because so many people, they come with a huge baggage of shame, and they think that if they're taking a parenting course, it's because there must be something wrong with them. So they start feeling so self-conscious and so afraid that they're going to be judged, that they end up not taking the leap. They end up not, like just not engaging in these courses. And let's face it, I was thinking about this the other day. If you, as a parent, let's say like as a mom or as a dad, so like basically you're not getting paid to look after your child, right? But if by any chance you were doing this professionally, let's say that you are a professional parent, so you've been hired by a company, you're getting a minimum, you're getting a paid salary on a monthly basis, and then someone came to you and said, hey, would you like to take this course so you can learn how to do this in an even better way? And like it's research backed, and like we've got all the materials and all the support for you to deliver your work in an even more effective way. Because as professionals, I think we're always so willing to take on further training and do some further professional development. I think the first thing that they would say would be, hell yeah, sign me up,
Absolutely. And
right?
also, I think with parenting as well, there's so much new neuroscience that is literally coming out kind of monthly that you kind of need to keep up, right? So a way of doing that is actually seeing it as kind of like investing in your growth and your family, rather than seeing taking a course as a kind of sign of failure or that you're not doing something wrong. It's actually like a way of upskilling. And you're right. I think we look at parenting very, very differently than we do with any other role in society where training is a core part of it. Yeah, we're doing the most important job in the world, right?
That's it. Yeah. And yeah. So let's just take a look at the research that Carol Dweck did a few years ago. So there was this research that was done with 400 year 5 students. It was done in America. And basically, they had like, there were like a few steps involved. So number one, they gave all the kids an easy IQ test. Okay. So these kids, they were praised in one of two ways. So there were two groups that were divided. So one of the groups was praised based on their intelligence. So, oh, you must be smart at this. And the other group was praised on effort. You must have worked hard. So now, when the second test was offered to them, so the group number one, the one that was praised by intelligence, so there were actually, so like there were two versions, right? So like there was like a harder version that people had a great opportunity to learn and grow. And then there was an easy version, which basically like they would just do really well because it was quite easy. So out of these two groups, the group that was praised by their intelligence and the one that was praised by their efforts, the one on the intelligence, 67% of the group chose the easier option, whereas the group that was praised by their efforts, 92% actually chose the harder option. Now, that for itself, even if we stopped the research right there, we said, like, yeah, this is the end of it, we can already see how much of an impact it takes on a child. And let's face it, that child is going to become an adult not too long from now, right? Because we're talking about year 5 children. So in 10 years, these children, they are going to become adults. So this is the belief that we're already giving them. That, oh, you're really intelligent, so you don't want to fail. That's why you're going to choose the easy path, so you can still prove them right that, yes, you are indeed intelligent. But obviously, the research didn't end there. And then they gave all the kids an impossible test. Okay, so that was the third one. It was an impossible test. Now, the group that was praised on effort, they worked harder, they worked for longer, and they enjoyed this test even more, even though it was an impossible test. So basically, nobody would score a 10 out of 10, right? And the other group, the group that was praised on their intelligence, they became frustrated and gave up early. Again, look at the difference in the attitude of both groups. Now, the last step was a final test that was just as easy as the first one, okay? So again, we've got both groups, effort and intelligence. So the group that was praised on their intelligence scored 20% less than the first test. And again, remember that the final test was just as easy as the first one. And they scored 20% less. Whereas the group that was praised on effort scored 30% higher than the first test. Now, if you think about it, it's a 50% difference between the group that was praised by their efforts and the one that was praised by their intelligence. And again, data shows that praising someone for their intelligence, as you can see, is not the best way to go. So remember that you shouldn't praise people's intelligence or abilities. You should praise the effort and the process. Now, Amanda, do you have anything to say about this? Because I've got so much to say.
Well, I just think it's absolutely
So,
fascinating. I mean, the research really says it all. And I think, one question that parents might have is, well, how do I start shifting my language to actually praise my child in a way where they're going to actually develop this idea of a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset? Because clearly it has compelling implications.
yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah. Do you mind if I just say a little something? So the
yeah, of
thing is,
course.
like, whenever we're praising someone, let's say like for their intelligence or their abilities or maybe their looks, because let's face it, like we get this so much out there as well. It's like, oh my God, you're such a beautiful girl, especially for girls, right? I think that this takes a bigger toll on girls. We are basically telling them that we like them because of that.
It's
That the
conditioning.
reason why
Yeah.
they belong is because of one of their natural traits, let's put it this way, right?
Mhm.
Either like because they're intelligent, or maybe because they run really fast, or maybe because they're very artistic, or maybe because they have beautiful hair, or so if you think about the long-term results, they can be so devastating and so shocking. And obviously, as we mentioned before, we are creating approval junkies. So
And I
I
think
know that there's,
mm,
yeah,
I was
carry
just
on.
going to bring in the whole idea of social media and the idea of, the likes and how many likes have I got
Yeah,
and how many followers have I got? It's all looking for that external validation, which, social media doesn't help at all, obviously.
no,
But if we can kind of instill from a young age a child that looks internally for their sense of self and their self-esteem, we are really setting them up for success.
yeah, that's it. I mean, there's no, like there's no silver bullet, but we can see that, like research shows that this is the best way for you to create adults who are self-motivated, who have a healthy health self-esteem, and who have like also like a good um, sense of self-worth, right? Because like
Absolutely.
they know, and the thing is, and I think that this is such a good caveat. So I don't know if you guys remember, like back in one of the first live streams that we did when we were talking about positive discipline, and we gave you guys the five criteria for positive discipline, and one of them had to do with doing something good even when nobody's looking, right?
Mm.
And then if you think about whenever like people are being praised, and I mean people, because in the workplace you see this a lot as well. So it's not just an exclusive thing for kids. When you see people in the workplace who need the approval all the time, whenever you look the other way, they may not continue working as hard as you wish they would.
I also think it
It,
has implications for burnout as well. I think there are certain traits in people that are more likely to cause burnout, and people pleasing, which is another
yeah.
way of saying kind of, approval junkies, is one of them, because you're always putting your needs behind everybody else's, and everything you do is about trying to please that other person, which obviously is going to be exhausting and is eventually going to, happen,
Burn you out.
yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
burn out. So I think that's also
Yeah.
something to bear in mind. So there are so many different implications to this. But going back to our how we can start shifting our language. So imagine your toddler runs up to you with a drawing. Instead of saying, which is the kind of knee-jerk reaction, wow, this is so beautiful, which of course it is, it's a lovely thing to say, you might try, wow, you use so many colors. I see lots of swirls, I see lots of lines. You must have worked really hard on this. And what this does is it helps them connect their effort to their achievement rather than relying on outside approval.
That's it. Yeah. And the thing is, the beauty is that you can do this with all sorts of things. So, like, if your child is building with blocks, then probably shows you their tower. Instead of just like, wow, this is such a great tower, you could say, wow, I can see that you balance those blocks so carefully and you kept going even when it almost fell. How did you figure that out? So, it invites reflection and it helps them see themselves as capable problem solvers. Again, this is another huge skill that not only children are, like, it's so important for children, but especially important for us adults. We need to become problem solvers. And what is the only way for us to become problem solvers? When we have problems to solve. So bear that in mind. Don't rescue your child all the time from problems, because problems are necessary for them to practice their problem solving skills.
Absolutely. And I think it's quite important as well as adults, especially because modeling is so key and children are looking at everything that we do and say, is to just be mindful of where areas in your life where you have a fixed mindset and areas where perhaps you have more of a growth mindset. So for instance, for myself, I know, and I'm trying to change that I always had a fixed mindset about the fact that I wasn't good at maths at school, because that's what I was led to believe. And therefore, it actually took until I did my Montessori training, when I learned how to teach maths in a completely different way than how I'd been taught in a traditional school, that I actually realized that I was okay at maths. It was just the way it was taught. So now I can actually talk to my nephews and nieces about maths in a much more kind of productive way, rather than just saying, oh, I'm never good at maths, because that's what they're going to pick up on, oh, well, I'm never going to be good at this, So I think that's just something to bear in mind as well, the way we model this language for our children.
Yeah, and I think that apart from that, like, obviously, like, apart from abilities, it's also about how you're building that child's belief. There's inner sense of belief, if I can put it this way. So it's, like, when you say to a child, oh, you're always so agitated, or oh my God, you're so chatty, or wow, I love it because you're such a happy child, or maybe it's the other way around. Oh my God, you're such an angry child, or maybe like you cry so easily. Like, these are the things that they're going to build that child's belief. The way that they see themselves is exactly the way that you are telling them. So I know, like, growing up, like, everyone, not even growing up, like, I wasn't really like an adult, and keep, like, my teachers kept saying the same thing, like my professors, like, you're very chatty, like, you're always so, like, bubbly and stuff. And then I'm like, it's almost like I couldn't be allowed to be a bit quieter. It's almost like I couldn't be allowed to be a bit more, like, low key, because
almost like you were trying to keep that
expecting from
identity.
me. Yes, like, they were already expecting that from me. So again, like, going back to, hey, what if I was quieter? Would people still like me? Would I still have friends? Would I still be accepted? Or even like that happy child. Let's bring up like a happy child's example. Is that child? Do you think like that child who's always being praised by being so happy and cheerful and bubbly? Do you think that that child would feel comfortable showing you that they are feeling sad, that they're feeling resentful, that they're feeling frustrated with something? Maybe they won't, because they don't think that they are going to be loved when they are not being that thing that they're always being praised for. So that is why it is so important for us to, just follow them on this journey and show to them that, hey, because it's like, so last night we were doing like our 6-week course, right, with our lovely cohorts. And one thing that we mentioned, because funny enough, we were also kind of like discussing the same topic in one of the activities, is that it's impossible for you to praise someone when they are failing or when they failed, right? However, it's the perfect time for encouragement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I think another big part of this is that using encouragement language builds internal motivation, rather than making them dependent on constant validation. So next time your child shares something they've worked on, just try shifting from praise to encouragement, and you'll be amazed at how it helps them feel proud of their own efforts and nurtures a growth mindset. And one of the prompts that I absolutely love to give parents is just start with, I notice. I noticed that you chose your favorite book today. I noticed that you shared your book with your brother. It's just a really simple prompt that can allow children to feel seen and heard and appreciated for who they are unconditionally.
Yeah, and I think that this works especially well in the classroom setting because there's so many children, especially like in busier schools or even sometimes even public schools who usually have like larger classes. It's so easy for teachers to always pay attention to the child who's making a mess, who's disturbing, who's just doing something that, it's a little bit outside what they wanted them to do. So when you have like this shift of perspective and you start even to that child who's always causing some sort of nuisance, if you start telling like just appreciating that child, even like in the smallest of things, and you encourage them on those things, you will see that most likely that child's misbehavior is going to disappear. Because maybe, and only maybe, one of the reasons why that child is misbehaving is because they're lacking a sense of belonging or significance. Because remember, these are the fundamental needs of any human being, right? So once they have that true connection, and again, like this connection can be established by in a small moment. It's like a teacher going, like just lowering their level to meet the child's level and say, hey, I noticed that you helped your friends tie their shoelace, or I noticed that like that you tidy up after you finish your activity. So sometimes it's like the smallest of things, and those children, they feel seen. It won't cost you anything, and you have so much to gain. Everyone has so much to gain at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So
And I just want to,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
you can see Lucy and I are both so passionate about this topic, but another thing I just wanted to bring up is the idea of an iceberg. And if you imagine at the top, you've got the behavior, and then underneath, you've got the kind of fundamental needs that every human being needs, which, as Lucy said, is connection and significance. And when you praise a child in the way we've been talking about, in a kind of like good job sort of way, it can feel good in the moment, because a lot of us were actually brought up on that. So it sort of feels like familiar, but you're only actually tapping into the tip of the iceberg, which is the behavior. But when you use encouragement, you're actually tapping into those core needs, which are under the iceberg, which are belonging and connection, meaning I matter, I'm significant, and I belong. So it's really, really powerful.
Yeah, it really is. And again, like it takes practice. We're not saying we're perfect. Oh my God, shake it off. Far from it. We're here learning as well. But the thing is, what I love about this, Amanda, and I think everyone can already see like how passionate we are about this. It's because the reason why we really want to share all of these things with you, it's because we know how transformative it is, and we know how much our trajectories have changed from the moments that we started learning about this. So yeah, it's really cool. So as you can see, like we've covered a lot today about the power of encouragement and how small shifts in the way we communicate can help kids develop a growth mindset. And again, kids are learning how to develop a growth mindset. So when they're adults, they have no problems with that, right? But if you're thinking, okay, yeah, this makes sense, but how do I actually put it into practice every day? Well, as I've already said, you're not alone. We're all here. We're all trying to do our best, and we are all practicing. So that is why, like, we have created the Empowered Parenting course, because it's a 6-week course, and it was designed to help you go beyond just knowing what to do, because let's face it, social media is out there and is always showing us what to do. And it actually makes, like we're going to make these strategies a natural part of the parenting. So we are going to guide you step by step through effective communication, positive discipline, in simple and powerful ways to raise confident, independent kids without the constant power struggles. So let's just put a
So,
little slide up here.
So if today's episode resonated with you and you're ready to bring more calm and connection into your home and raise capable, resourceful problem solvers, we would love to have you join us. Doors are now open for our April cohort, and we can't wait to support you in your journey. So this is why we are offering a $50 discount. So you can go to the AIM Parenting website now, and by using, sorry, Lucy, I've forgotten the code.
Yeah, the code is AIM Live.
AIM Live, there it is.
Yes.
So by using AIM
yes.
Live, you can claim your $50 off our next 6-week empowered parenting course. We really hope to see you there.
Yeah.
So that's it
everyone,
for today.
thank you. Yes, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Remember to like and share and comment. We're always so happy when you guys, are here listening to us, and we can see that there's people listening to us and watching us as well. So, hi, Jennifer from Indiana. That's really cool. Thank you so much for being here. And we know that there's so many other people in other platforms, and we can't really see all the comments, but again, you can always watch it whenever you are, wherever you are. We are on YouTube. We're going to be on Spotify as well. We're going to upload this episode ASAP. So yes, drop us a like, drop us a comment. We love to feel the love. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Would you like to say anything else, Amanda, or shall we just hit the road?
I think that's it. Yeah, as you said. So yeah, look forward to seeing you in another couple of weeks where we will have another exciting topic for you to dive into. So until then, have a great couple of weeks.
Amazing. Have a great one, everyone, and we will see you around. Bye for now.
Bye.